Great. New episode of Moments with Mantsoe. Thank you so much for joining me again and welcome. Now, today's episode is going to be very interesting because what you see now is about an hour of hanging out before this we've even started shooting. So thank you so much for availing yourself on such a cold day.
Woo! I said to you, I must love you.
Your husband and your kid must be like, what the hell on this cold day?
Yeah, they were like, you said you wanted us to come with. Are you sure? I was like, nah, I love y'all. Guys, it's cold.
Let me go bond to this person.
Yes.
And I'm glad you could make it. Stephina, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, no. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking me to come through. I'm very excited.
We obviously know you as a child star, but all of this starts years back growing up in Soweto and then moving to Joburg Park, but living with Gog Anna. And I'm always fascinated by people that grew up around their grands. Yeah. I feel like we are the same. We're almost like kindred spirits.
Yeah.
We find each other and get each other.
Yeah.
Tell me about growing up around your gran.
Oh, wow. So we, like you said, how you know all of this?
I know all of this.
How you know all of this?
I have a producer. Shut up.
No, I grew up, I was born in Soweto and then we moved to Joburg Park in the early 90s when, just before freedom comes. And it was a very interesting childhood because we grew up in the early 90s into the early 2000s. And it just makes you a bit rough around the edges a little bit. Growing up in that area, especially towards the late 90s, you realize, hey, to survive here, I'm nicer now.
You're refined.
You have no idea how refined I am.
Yes.
Used to be very rough around the edges. And I think it would take people by surprise a lot of the time because I was a small, young little thing who's super feisty. And it's just like, what? And I'm like, well, this is what I get.
And this is the world.
It's the world I've grown up in, and it's required of me to be a certain way, and I can be that way very well, especially if you push me to. So over the years, I've had to learn to act like a normal person, but just don't bring out that side.
It's so weird when you mention this side, and I think of all the moments, obviously, of us growing up and watching you on television. I could tell that you were feisty.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you were very good as a presenter, but you have an energy about you of being sure of yourself.
Thank you.
But there was a moment growing up where you were unsure of yourself.
Oh, I think I spent most of my childhood, especially when you're quiet and you're by yourself, where you're like, wait, am I doing this right? And as girls, you ask yourself things like, am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? Do people really actually like me? So I grew up also having those thoughts and those questions. And I think I was, it gets heightened when you go into a girls' school. But because of where I was growing up and then the girls' school, I became a mix of what I am today. Because the girls' school I went to allowed us to be ourselves. They allowed us to literally, if you had an idea and you wanted to do it, go and you pitch it to the teacher or the principal and they go, okay, try it. So they affirmed us in ways, I think, at the time we weren't using words like affirm, right?
When you didn't know what it was.
Yeah. But those are the kind of teachers and team and principal that I had around me. This is how I ended up doing what I do, because I'd be like, I remember we had a grade 8 concert when we first got to school. They were like, we're starting a new thing, a grade 8 concert. Everybody must participate. You must dance, sing, you must. And I'm like, I can't dance to save my life. I definitely can't sing. I'm the shyest girl ever. What am I going to do? And they put me in this dance group. And I was like, I can't dance. But I lay on
I must be better than someone.
I was like, I will not be dancing on stage. This routine is not for me.
Really?
No, I was like, no. So I went home, I wrote something, and I went to the teachers who were in charge of the grade 8s, and I said, there's all these groups that you guys have divided us into. Great, but I feel like you don't have somebody to introduce these groups on the day. Can I please introduce the groups? I want to be the MC. They're like, an MC? Huh? Show us what you mean. I was like, did my thing there. They were like, yes, be that. Yeah. that. You are that now.
Were you always that kid that stood up for themselves to be like, what's the other solution?
No, I was not, because I just come from primary school. And like I'm saying, in primary, I was I think I probably only spoke to my best friend at the time.
I can't see that.
Shy. Don't talk to me unless you've known me for 5 years.
Minimum 5 years requirements.
Yeah. So I literally just only spoke to my best friend and a small group of the people in my class. That's it. And then when I got to high school, I was like, do I want to be that girl again for another 5 years?
And isn't that the beauty of, I mean, I had that moment when I went to varsity, right? Where I was always a certain kind of person with a bit of bullying at some point where I was bullied, not standing up for myself as much as I wanted to. And when I got to varsity, that's when I had that, where I felt like, what do I want to be seen as? Or who do I want to be seen as? And when do I change the narrative of being very loud but very timid?
Yeah.
And I can't explain it. Almost being like a hybrid.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that you found that when you went into high school, you asked yourself, okay, how do I want to be received now? And how were you received?
Oh, very well. Very well. I became, just because of the grade 8 concert, I became one of the most popular girls in school just from that. And then I ran with it. I was like, oh, okay, is this what this is going to do? And then I challenged myself, am I going to be the smart girl as well? Let's try this thing. And then I tried, I was like, hey, I can also be smart. Okay. What else? And, I played sports. I took advantage of whatever opportunities were there just to stretch myself, just also looking at people and going, okay, these ones are in matric and they're about to leave. Have they had great memories? Because I want to get to matric one day and be like, I've had the time of my life in the school. And I really did. Obviously, all with the ups and downs and getting into trouble and, sometimes not getting into trouble. But I had a great high school.
I actually listened to your TED Talk where you talk about the influence that some of your teachers had, including your headmistress.
I love that woman. Scared of her.
But you spoke so beautifully about them because it was leading into, from the conversation you were having about how your gran admired Mam Sisulu.
Yes.
And how your Mam Sisulu later then became someone else. But the women that were around you that had an impact in your life included your teachers. Tell me about the impact they had on you.
It was huge because...
And I ask that because a lot of times we forget, teachers become the forgotten people that really greatly contributed to who we become. And we spend a lot of time with them.
We do. We really do. And sometimes they end up being the people that know us more than sometimes even our own family members, right? My teachers, sure, we were blessed, I think, to get into a school that had just transitioned in, I think it was 95, from being a fully Afrikaans girls' school. And they moved the girls across the road to the boys' school and they became a co-ed. And then this side was now a new school that would be still Afrikaans and English. Yeah. And so there was also, I guess, the excitement of, how are these people?
So how do they interact? Put them in the same place.
But we were super blessed in that we also got young teachers. So a lot of our staff were, or let me say half of our staff would be like 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds who also just finished varsity and this is their second, third, fourth year of teaching. So the age gap wasn't that much. And so we saw, for us girls, we were looking at our teachers going, how? 24-year-old with a car? Yes. How? That means even me, I can do it, right? So they, without even realizing, they were breaking some or making something click in our heads, at least in mine, definitely of, okay, so I can achieve A, B, and C, but just because I can see this lady did it. And that's why it's so, you're reminding me of the TED Talk, and that's why it's so important to sometimes see the thing so that you know it is possible. And that's where I've always been observant of people in that regard, especially. When I went Zani, and can I do it? Can I do it better? Or maybe I don't even want to do that, but I just like something about what it is that you're doing. That can I, as Stephina, is that a gift that I've been given? And just challenge yourself.
Someone else that influenced you growing up outside of your teachers, what I was saying that your Mam Sisulu was Felicia Mabuza.
That
woman was too much.
Who hasn't?
That
who hasn't
woman
she
was too
influenced?
much. Yeah.
I mean, she's in the US now, living her best life still. But if there is an example of a Black South African woman in our time, in post-apartheid South Africa, who has shattered glass ceilings, it has to be
And
her.
shown what entertainment could be for a Black woman.
Yes. When she did the Felicia Mabuza show,
As an EP and host.
and host.
Yeah.
She owned the rights to her show. What? I don't, there's still very few women who can not even women, there's very few people, period, who can say that about their shows in today's time, right? So she was the epitome for me. I would sit at 9 o'clock at night and be like, what? And I was a kid, right? Like I want.
But you understood.
That girl, that lady there's something about her. She's so confident. She knows what she wants, but she's doing what she wants. She's and this was long before Oprah. I didn't know Oprah. Before I knew Oprah, I knew Felicia.
That's so true. Before we knew Oprah, we had Felicia on the screen, darling.
You know?
Talking to every kind of South African. I can't even pinpoint what the show was really like.
And here's this lady who is living in 2 continents.
Yeah.
So she's got a husband from the US,
Yeah.
her kids at the side, or I think the husband at some point also stayed this side. But she is fully giving of herself to the life that she has. She's committed to it and trying it in new ways, right? And I think that is super important because our lives will not necessarily be the same as everybody else's life. So commit to the life that you've been given. And if it's a life of you being in 2 different continents for a period of time, then do it. Do it.
Let's talk how we got to know you, Stephina. Now there is this vibey, feisty, very talented, seemingly to us, very confident young girl on screen every afternoon. How was that experience? And before we get to the experience, the audition, right? You had never been on television. Here's this kid that's now entering television. How was the experience of starting?
So I had not been on television at all.
Yeah.
But thanks to the grade 8 concert,
Yes.
I had done a few, I'd continued to MC like our talent competitions.
Neighboring schools if they want to MC.
I was that girl. If there's a thing, I won't dance, I won't sing, but I will MC for you. So when we get to the crazy auditions, it was a group of us from my school that had gone because we had been part of a play. We had there was some competition we had to enter, and we had been a part of a play. I think we came 2nd or 3rd from that competition, and our drama teacher, also one of the young teachers, had said, "I have a friend, and that friend just told me that there's going to be crazy auditions. Crazy's moving from Cape Town to Joburg. So if you guys really do well at this competition, then I'll take you there." And we did. We came in 2nd or 3rd, I can't remember. And she took us there, like a whole, I think, 10, 12, 15 of us. And I remember at the audition, because at the audition, I spoke about, they're like, okay, talk about anything you want to talk about first, just to see how comfortable you are. And I remember going, I hate makeup.
Oh, for a TV show, great.
Right?
Great start.
I look back now, I'm like, hey, these people are also crazy to hire me after I've just said I don't want makeup. And our whole conversation was about how much I hate makeup and da-da-da-da-da. And I went on. And then got the job, came back for callbacks and then got the job, right? I think from the initial group that had gone, 2 of us made it in from my school. It was me and a friend of mine. And then we met the rest of the team that had made it. And that's how our lives began as crazy presenters.
And how was the journey? Because I always say this when I meet or sit down with child presenters, right? Or child stars of any sort. That from the other side, for some of us that are kids as well, growing up watching you guys, there's nothing you want more, right?
Oh,
You're watching these people and you're like, they definitely have the best life in the world. They have the best trips. They have the best food. They have the best everything. They meet all the celebrities.
Yeah.
How was the journey for you if you are able to reflect on what it felt like being at school, now gaining popularity at school, but genuinely gaining a real life fame with South Africa?
I think I always when I reflect back, I say we were trained to be TV presenters at the time. We were never trained to be famous. And so fame was never top of mind for us. We had very busy school schedules to begin with. I started on Crazy. I was in grade 11, and grade 11 is the hardest. It's the hardest year of the school year.
Listen, if you're in grade 11 and you're watching this, shout out. You even have time to watch this. I wouldn't have had time.
That's the thing, right? So my life was already so busy.
Yeah.
I had netball. I had speech. There was no time to be famous. Going to Crazy was just that. It was work. I need to be there for a couple of hours. And when I'm done, I'm rushing back home because I've got homework. I've got...
Like a normal kid. When you're off the screen, you have the schedule that every other child has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think we never engaged with the fame part of things. So when we would go to road shows like the Randy Easter show, where ETV would have the big things happening there, and then they'd invite us to do like shows with the kids. Then you're like, why are all these kids screaming?
Listen, because those of us that would come and I would make sure that I was on Rand show, okay? You just move from the OTV stage to the tube stage to the Crazy stage. Yeah. Just move around, just screaming at everyone.
Yes. Why? And then it clicks, oh yes, they know us. Okay. So then you do what you're there for. You run the show, you do the competitions. And again, when it's 4:00 and that's when it's supposed to end, you're like, okay, cool, thanks, bye. Where's my driver? I've got homework. We had homework. Because the one thing that our producers told us and our school told us, especially me and the girl, Kitty, that we were at our school together, was, yes, great, you are now doing this, but this cannot affect your marks. The minute it affects your marks, we're going to ask your parents to pull you off. Then we'd be at in studio, and our producers would be like, if you fail, you are off. You know, and so we all, it was high pressure like you've never seen.
Sounds
before.
like it.
It was high pressure. But we just knew.
You just have to juggle.
Yeah, this is the life I chose, right? And now things are happening, so they must happen. I must just be there.
Would you let your kid, now that you're a mom, go through that, like be a child star or go into work that requires that much from them as kids?
You know, I don't know. I don't think so, because I'm already the kind of parent and aunt who goes, that much homework and you're in grade 1. Let me call your teacher.
Also, give me also
when are you going to play?
Yes.
Hey, why did you give this child so much homework? I'm already there because I'm like, I didn't get homework in grade 1. I didn't get homework until I think I was.
They write exams. My niece is 9 and she was prepping for exams.
I don't
remember. And I'm like,
doing that.
Isn't 9 like grade 2 or grade 3?
Yeah.
They write exams. Were we writing exams in grade 3?
No, we were not.
But my niece is so stressed, like, oh, I need to study.
And it's that. It's that they stress.
Yeah.
And because I got to be as stressed younger, for me, I mean, I got into it when I was about 15 or so. Why are we stressing 8-year-olds? Why? Is it worth it? No, it's not. It's not. And then it's no, but they'll fall behind with reading. Man, we will all read at the end of the day. No.
You're the best mom in the world.
No, because we have to also understand that nothing is more important than playing when you're a child, because that's where you actually learn more.
True.
I learned more things, soccer, cricket, everything.
People skills. Just being out there. Yeah.
People skills, how to operate in a group, leadership skills. I did not learn a lot of things memorizing and regurgitating it the next day. I've forgotten a lot of that stuff anyway, but it was through interacting with different types of people on the playground that you grow as a person. So I'm not saying education is not important.
Yes.
It is super important. I'm a huge fan of that.
There's different layers to it.
Yes. We live, unfortunately, right now in a time where we're putting so much pressure on smaller kids to perform at high level. Not everybody's an A student. That's okay. If your child is not an A student, be okay with that. They're good at something else.
I actually like that because, we were talking with a friend of mine about this, and she's got a child and she's a teacher, about how we live in, not even just in South Africa, right? In a world that really prioritizes a certain kind of person. Like there's an outcome that we want from this certain kind of person. They do really well in school, they go to university, they go into the workforce, they achieve everything that they wanted. But kids that are autistic or kids that are different in how they consume information are kind of left by the wayside, especially if they don't have a parent that, like you, who's going to be like, actually, if a kid takes in information differently, how do you enhance that?
No, it's a very important conversation to have because we are all exposed to the A-type kind of personality kids, right? But what happens when your child is not that? How do you support them? And the reason perhaps I will always speak about it, especially with my friends, I'm that aunt. I'm the aunt who will call the school, who will go to the school and be like, my niece said you said this. Just clarify a little bit. Just clarify.
I'm your side. How about that?
I see you, Louis. Say it exactly the way, because maybe I'm misunderstanding. I get very involved. And the conversation I have with myself and with my community around me, my friends and family, is always that we're not the same. And I used to, when I was a kid, I used to think, there's something wrong with me, right?
And maybe that's why you're passionate to speak to this matter.
Yeah, because I used to think, I don't know what I'm good at. I really, especially in my shy days. Oh my Lord, I was just like, maybe just life won't work out, eh?
What are you good at?
I talk a lot. Oh, I can talk sham. And once I figured that out, I was like, oh, so that's also a talent. Okay. All right.
Do you know why? I think also because in our communities growing up, especially in Black families, right? And our parents don't know how to direct that kind of child into, maybe this is just who this person is. It sounds like so you become a kid that either goes into their shell because we're too much, or you just feel like I'm not understood, because everyone says I talk too much.
Yes, absolutely. And especially for us who fall into that, because I always used to say, if I could play soccer, I would be looking for all the soccer schools and I tried to get into there. If I could play cricket, I can't play and I can't sing. So if I could sing, I'd go to a music school. My talent is not as obvious compared to other people. So now what's going to happen to me? And that's why I'll always forever be grateful to my teachers until I got to the school and they were like, okay, all right. So this is what will allow you to do. I would go to the principal and be like, so the matrics are leaving it's their last assembly in 2 weeks' time. Do you mind if I just write a speech and give them a farewell speech? She'd be like, go ahead, boo.
It's so great to be in a space that allows a child like that to thrive.
Yeah.
And I think our teachers and our headmistresses and masters should always remember that, right? Because a lot of kids don't come from spaces where they can express that.
Yes.
And schools should be spaces that kids are able to express that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'll forever be grateful because I don't even know if they were aware that that's what they were doing to the small young girl who's growing up in Jubed Park in a rough neighborhood and then find school as a safe space where she can be herself and she can explore other parts of herself. I don't know if they knew that's what they were doing, right? But whatever it is that they had committed to do in my life completely allowed me to soar and to see a different world and to explore and to want different things as well. So yeah.
Let's talk Stephina, the director. Now because after presenting, you acted in a couple of shows.
Yes.
Why did you step back? Because I know that you made a conscious decision to not be in front of the camera anymore. How did that come about? Imali, obviously, and then I'm kidding. I mean, part of it is, I'm kidding,
Look. I love what I do.
Yeah.
So I started presenting, and then I was like, I want to act. I want to act. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to bag a few roles and start acting. The problem for me was I found myself after a few years of acting feeling like, okay, I've already played the girl who dates the older guy. I've already played that. I've already played the girl who takes drugs. I've already played that. So I was like, whoa, guys. So are these all the roles we're writing for Black girls in this age group? Is that it? Because I can't go to another audition and I'm dating a sugar daddy. I've already done that. So maybe the problem wasn't the industry. The problem was me.
Wanting more?
Yeah, I wanted more. And I had the issue of looking younger than what I was. So now I'm like, I get that I look younger, but you can't tell me this is all that's happening with this age group.
You also can't sell and exploit the idea of a younger looking girl doing such hectic things, because they don't all do those things.
That was my
What
issue.
about the girl that's
They don't
different?
all do those things.
Yeah.
So are we not going to tell the story of the ones that don't do those things? Because that's the part I'm waiting for. And I think after a while, I was like, okay, sure, it's not going to work out. What else can I do? And I think we should all find ourselves be able to find ourselves in a position where we ask ourselves, what else can I do? Yeah. And I've been fortunate to be able to do that because when I felt, okay, now I've done the presenting thing, it's great. And I need something more. What else can I do? And I was able to go into acting. When the acting was now also just, where I was feeling like how I've just said, I mean, what else can I do? And I was like, I can go work behind the scenes.
And it opens you up to a world of opportunity, but a world of other talents that you probably would have not explored if you're just getting acting gigs and you're just like comfortable. Yeah. How are you going to know that you're a great writer, a great director, a great producer, or even start a production company?
Exactly. And it's also important to understand that our paths will not be the same. So somebody else might have been happy with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But our paths are different. I needed to be frustrated at those points in my life
to get to this,
so that I could eventually get to what I'm doing now. So when I went behind the scenes, I started working as a writer. And then when I was writing, I was the head script writer at this company. And then I was like, I want to direct one day. They were like, well, there's a camera.
Wow.
There's a crew that works full time. So do your thing.
Follow them around, see what they do.
No, it wasn't follow them around. I'd already been in that already.
It was direct.
It was, you were asking to direct again.
Hectic.
Na camera la payana, na cameraman officini, when I just come pitch to me what it is that you want to do. And I was
That's so dope though.
I was very fortunate to be in an environment with a boss who would go see. And I went and I saw.
I like that.
And that's that. I was like, okay, I like this. I like the writing. Thank God I've always written. I've always been a writer. Since I was small, I was writing poetry, I was writing. And this was like, it's nice being on this side because I've done it on the other side in front of the camera. And even then I'd be frustrated. I'd be like, you want another take? So you can't use any of the 5 takes I just gave you.
Put everything together.
You won't make this work and edit. Okay.
I like when I hear people have had experiences like this, right? Because I've worked at Red Pepper around 2014 to 2016, around that time. And I was working on Crazy and Shizners as a researcher, right? But I remember I had no television experience behind the scenes. I'd done some presenting, whatever, but I had no television experience. But the space allowed me to say, what do you want to do? Do you want to see how a live TV show is done? Don't just sit in the office and research. Go sit in a live studio. Go sit in the control room and see what happens. And it's great to always hear that the companies that have allowed young people to explore other things they can do. and learn.
Yeah. And you need, I think we sometimes say, oh, hire young people. And it's not just to hire them to give them a job. It's to open them up to different
The world
worlds.
that exists, yeah.
So when I then started directing, I was like, wow, this is nice. And it wasn't narrative, right? It was for a religious show that used to play on SABC1. And I was like, I like this. Woo. And then you're like, okay, now.
What else?
What else can I do? Because now I'm doing it. And now I've reached the point where I'm like, okay, now I actually am comfortable.
Yes.
In what, I know exactly what it is that I'm doing now.
To even call myself a director.
Yeah. But now, and then, so you do definitely need to always Vivin yourself. What was Vivin? And take stock of, okay, so I've been doing this for 2 years or 5 years. Where was I when I started, and where am I now? And where do I still want to go? And so every few years I go through that. So after a while, I was like, okay, I've done this thing of working behind the scenes on other people's productions. It's been great. I've learned a lot. And I'm fortunate that in most of those spaces, I was able to go, okay, now I'm bored. And then they're like, what do you want to do? Go do it. I'm very fortunate I was able to do that. But I think by around 2014, I was like, okay, now I want to go into narrative. Because I've done non-narrative stuff, I've done the live shows, I've done the pre-record, I've done it, and I'm happy that I did.
Is it Sorrel? Sorrel.
Yes.
Is this when Sorrel was born?
So Sorrel then gets born then when I'm like, okay, send from when I'm a film and other stuff.
Intimidating, an industry that has a lot of filmmakers as males. You want to be taken seriously, obviously, as a filmmaker.
Yeah. And look, to be fair, I think a lot of women in the spaces that we're in, we're not thinking, hey, I'm a woman doing this.
Yeah.
You're just a person doing this, right? Until somebody else brings it up to you. Oh, you are the one of few. And you're like, sure, we're still at few. It's sad. But I think we are in a space where there's a lot of people who have women people.
Women people, I like that. I always say human people.
Yeah.
My nephew says human people.
Oh, Nana. So 2014, we then start, at the end of 2014, Salamina and I go, okay, you're frustrated, I'm frustrated. What are we going to do? So 2015, we started January, we're like, okay, we've resigned, we're doing this now.
It's so weird how a lot of people I know, and all human people I know that started something, it was from feeling like, ugh, let me just do this my own way. The way I want to do it. And it's hard. Starting something is really hard. I can't even imagine starting it with a friend where you feel like we have a friendship here and running parallel as business partners as well. It's so hard.
I remember that people would be like, they'd invite us and be like, tell us about your journey. And I'd be like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's
not easy, yeah.
It is so hard.
And it's easily romanticized, right? Because we saw you guys grow up on TV in front of us. They've just been best friends this whole time. It must be so nice now they get together. Yeah.
Hey, it's not easy. You have to, because you know what you do, right? You know if this is what you do, you know this. Now as your own company, now you must also do the HR of things. The contracts of things. It's hard. And
they're not so fun, boss.
They're not fun. You have to fire people. Yeah, it's not fun. And nobody has taught you how to handle that. So you then have to, you learn by trial and error as you go. And you refine and you change and you tweak. It is what it is. I always say when we were chosen to be in Crazy, my friend and I from high school, we then later she became head girl, I became deputy head girl. And I remember, I think they gave us a speech. Our teachers are like, yeah, you guys, we still expect you to do A, B, and C. But because we know you're on TV, now we suggest you maybe don't do netball this year, don't do speech, and don't do... because we just want you to, do well in school.
Focus on matric.
Yeah. And we were like, immediately, no. We were like, no. We're going to do everything we set out to do. And after that meeting, I remember we sat with Kitty and I was like, what if we fail? And she said, at that time, the 3 years leading to us being head girls, they had been sisters, a family where the eldest became head girl, And she said, you and I do not have a sister who had been head girl before. We don't. So we'll figure it out. Don't put that much pressure on yourself. And now we
at 18,
I was 17, boo. I think
you guys were so deep.
and just that speech, just that sentence.
Right? Not even sister. You come from a family where you've never had a hit girl. So we're doing this for the first time. No pressure.
No pressure.
You're the first of your family. I love that.
And I was like, hey, it clicked. So even now when we get pressurized and, Salamina, we're just like, we want to quit and, this is so hard. Like, hey, girl, who in your family does what you do?
Exactly.
Because in my family, there's nobody.
We're doing it for the first time.
When we mess up and sometimes we just feel like, we did this and wrong and did that. Who do you know in your family that you can go, hey, cousin, when you were stuck like this, how did you solve it? We don't have, it's unfortunate because I really wish I had an older sister who could say, shut 100,000. Here you go, But we are the ones that have to figure it out.
I think it's so important for all of us in whatever fields we are in, right? To always remember that a lot of the times, especially for Black people, because previously generations before us didn't get to do the things that we are at least even trying to do. Yeah. To always remember that I guess we're so hard on ourselves, there's no one in my family that's ever had a podcast.
There we go.
And I don't think there's anyone in your family that's ever been a camera guy on a podcast or even camera guy on a production. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we get so hard on ourselves because maybe we compare ourselves to other people or where other people are, where we want to go for ourselves, that we forget that this is the first time I'm trying this.
Have grace. Have grace. And have grace all round, guys. Because we do live in a world where that's overly critical. That's especially overly critical of the Black child. Give us some grace. And I always say where films are concerned, I'm like, guys, I don't know how many films Steven Spielberg did before he did E.T. I don't.
Right? E.T. that we still all enjoy now.
And nobody is going to Steven Spielberg's first feeling before and saying,
yeah.
Hey, yeah. We will all progress and we'll all learn and we'll all grow at different rates, at different times. Just allow us to figure ourselves out. It's unfortunate that what I do has to be seen by the masses. If I was an accountant, I would have made mistakes putting a comma at the wrong place. It's a critical mistake.
No one would have known.
But the rest of the world was never going to know. My mistake gets to be seen.
I think that's the hardest thing about being an artist, right? Is you are criticized by even people that don't understand what it takes to do the work. Yeah. You're criticized by people that don't even understand the work. They just see it, they consume it, and they assume a position of critiques that have the right to nitpick.
Yeah.
When you don't know what it takes. Tell me, what does it take? Because as a filmmaker, I can't even imagine from the budget to... You've been talented before and I imagine you felt like I deserve more. Now when you're on the other side, you feel like I would love to give you more. There's no money. What would be some of the challenges? There's nothing worse than that, bruh. When you're like, I've been where you are and beyond this, you're gonna have to move in with me and my husband and my child.
And that is what is important to understand about our industry. We have a lot of people who work in our industry who don't fully understand our industry.
Right? I'm feeling like my wig is here. Are you guys sabotaging me or what on this podcast? Sorry, okay.
As long as Utwanela.
Thanks, darling.
So we have a lot of people who are even within the industry, but who don't fully quite understand the technical side of things. So sometimes a person will I want to get paid 100,000 rands for a job. And it's like, yeah, but this is a 150,000 rand budget job. So I call. And where films are concerned, the other day I was in a table amongst very talented people from around the world. And one person made mention of Nollywood. And they were like, oh yeah, no. So I've been to Nigeria and it's a great place. But I will tell you one thing. I don't like their film. They don't make great films. And I was like, and I was the only film director in that table from South Africa. And I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to talk during this gathering, but I am forced to talk because I am a filmmaker. I am a South African filmmaker. But for the purposes of this, I'm the only African filmmaker on this table. I will not sit here and let you talk about a film industry that has contributed to people getting hired, to people growing, to people preserving their culture, to telling their own stories in their own way. I will not sit here and let you do that because your very next sentence will be attacking South Africa. And we're the same. We're on one continent. You have no idea the conditions we make those films in. You are Hollywood. You work with different budgets compared to what I have to, in different conditions to what I have to make films in. So it's very nice and easy for you to stand there and give this criticism. You have never been a Nigerian. You'll never be a Nigerian filmmaker. You don't understand the conditions that they work under to make those films. And in that moment, everyone was like, yes, actually, we get it. And he apologized. And I said, I know you were just, you were making light of it, but it's our bread and butter. Unfortunately, I'm at this table. It's my bread and butter.
And this is what we delve. So must we say no?
So, Manje, mustn't I make movies just because you disapprove? Do you understand? And I said, I always say to people, but Nigerian movies, you can see the boom shot. They can also see it.
They can also see it, and they still have millions of people watching.
And they've grown.
Yeah, they've have.
You have to allow people to grow. And I feel like sometimes we take that away from them. We take that away from us, especially the creative industry. A person releases an album, hold on. It's art. It's very subjective. What you love, I might dislike strongly. Do you understand? Even for writers. There's people who love Paulo Coelho, and there's people who will not touch his book, any of his books. So it's very subjective, but it's not a race. It's not a competition. We're all here because we've been gifted. It's a gift. What we do is a gift. And our gifts are not the same. And what I do might be similar to what you do, but it's still not the same, right? So again, let's have grace. We're still growing. We're a budding industry. There will be lots of mistakes that we still make when we are supposed to make. Hollywood still makes mistakes. They don't trend when they make mistakes, but we are far harsher on each other as brown people and black people. Unfortunately, we don't give each other grace, which is sad.
I like what you're saying about African storytellers and just the creative industry, and maybe more industries as Africans that we're exploring, and how we need to have more grace for each other and for ourselves. But you also, I know that you talk about the importance of us telling our stories, and that's one of the reasons you guys started the production company. You've told very different stories on your production, and I think I like that. I remember first seeing Love and Kwaito, which I think is telling such an important side of what happens in child-headed households. Where alcohol is concerned, and we know we have a big alcohol issue in South Africa. I think that film still needs to be seen over and over again.
Thank you.
It was chilling because I kept thinking, this kid, Love, and I kept thinking, oh my gosh, her acting was amazing.
Yeah, and she was a first-time actor.
but also it was chilling how well she was telling the story, right? And I kept thinking, how she walks away from this and she's left it because it was very heavy.
Yeah.
It was a story, Baby Mamas, which I think the comedy, I think your guys' comedic timing is amazing.
Thank you.
And then now Homewreckers, very different stories that you've told.
Yeah.
But also very important stories to tell and that you feel like should be told for Black people and about Black people. Why is that important for you?
So I like to say we make stories that we want to watch ourselves, right? And I think Love and Kwaito was a very important story for us to tell at the time we told it, just to highlight, like you said, child-hated homes, right? And alcohol and how it's affected. And because we have a pandemic of child-hated families from when we had the HIV/AIDS pandemic, and then it has gone on and taken other issues, yes. And Baby Mamas was also, it was important for me to tell that story because I was in a situation where all you're hearing about Baby Mamas is, lawyer, she doesn't want me to see the baby. And I was like, I get that, but there's always another side. And so far, the side that's been the loudest has been from the opposite team, right? And I was like, no, but the baby mamas I know are just normal girls who are just trying to figure out growing up and growing up with a child. Human, and how do you navigate all of that? And so that's when we told that story. And when Homewrecker came, I remember our usual stakeholders that we partner with were like, no, give us baby mamas too. And I was like, I don't have baby mamas too. I've got this one. No, but we want that one. Okay, cool. Moving on to the next one. Yeah, what's the one you have?
Yeah. You have it. Watch it.
My next answer.
We've already done it. Watch it.
And so we were very passionate about telling the story. Also, I always say to Salam, once it's written, now we have to tell it, right? Because if we shelve it, who are we shelving it for? Who's going to tell the story? And it was a different genre, which made it even harder because it's a genre we had never dabbled in the past. So in itself, already it was a challenge to go, can we do it? Will we be able to do it? And that's what's hard about entrepreneurship and starting your own thing, man, because everything is hard. But you must be, what Homewrecker taught me as a person is that, I'm stubborn. Yeah, because we shot it. We were first supposed to shoot it in 2020. We had to shut down because of COVID, and then funders pulled out. And then 2021, I was like, okay, so we're shooting this
with or without everyone that was involved. Yeah.
And Sal was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. I was like, I know, babe, I know, but we're doing it. So get on board. Shoots. And the thing is, once we go, okay, we agree, then
you do it.
Then we're doing it.
Yeah.
And we did it, problem after problem. People who had been cast. There was one who got cast and then they got sick 2 weeks before we had to start shooting. So now we had to recast. It was just drama. And then eventually we finished. We shot at lockdown level 4.
Hectic.
Night before shoot day 1, our president was like, so I'm taking y'all back to level 4 because y'all can't behave. And we got on a call immediately. Are we still shooting? We're like, why? So stop it. Everybody's been booked.
Call sheet still applies. Everybody see you on set in the morning.
We literally did that, And then we finished shooting, and then now it was the struggle of edit. And oh my gosh. So by the time we released Homewrecker, it even had a different name. Right?
What?
It had a different name.
What was the name?
It used to be Covet, as in Thou Shalt Not Covet. And then a few weeks before they release it, we get a call from Netflix going, well, we're changing the name. We're like, sure.
That's fine.
Yes, change that guy.
This show is doing its own thing for the past couple of years.
Like, do you, as long are you still interested in it is what we want to know. Okay, yes, we were done. We were exhausted emotionally, physically from this project. So then when it comes out, we were thinking, We knew for a fact the people who are going to watch it will be our husbands. Definitely, our choice. And then maybe one or two friends.
Yes.
And we were okay with that.
Yeah.
Sal and I had made peace. We're just happy that it got licensed somewhere else and, and we could pay back whoever we still owed. And then it gets watched. Yeah, by the amount of people that watched it, and we're like, hey, Johnny, why?
Like, that's definitely more than our 2 husbands.
Yeah. Oh, so people watched it. So we get a message telling us, okay, your film is doing really well. You'll probably maybe be in the top 10 by tomorrow. And we're like, we didn't even answer that message. I called Sam, like, why are they telling us?
Top 10 of the West End.
Yeah. Why? Because now if we don't make it into the top 10, now we'll feel like failures. And already this project has hurt our feelings.
Stop it, stop.
So then the next day we open at number 1 on Netflix.
Hectic.
And it was the biggest shock. I'm still shocked by that. I'm still shocked because South Africa opened at number 1. We were in the top 8. We opened in the top 8 in Nigeria, and I think 2 days later we were in the number 2. Kenya were in the top 2. The Caribbeans were in the top 5.
What?
And those are the ones we know of. Basically, where there's black people, they were watching.
The blacks will watch.
The black people were watching it, and we thank you so much for that. And in all honesty, we really didn't think people were going to watch it. So we keep getting calls going, so why do you think people watch? We're like, we don't know. Well, I don't know.
Because it's the small idea that starts from you two and then it like grows and then you get people on it and like, do you buy into this idea? And then they act on it and people shoot it and then it's like the world is like, we are watching it.
Yeah.
But it starts in here.
Yeah.
So I imagine as an artist or as a filmmaker particularly, it's hard, or it's not hard, but it's a wild thing to have an idea that starts in your room or in your office and have it be in the top 10 of Netflix in a couple of countries. I always say that about artists.
We're in the top 5 in the US. I was like, what? The Americans are also, why? Why are y'all watching?
Why don't you guys have other shows to watch?
No, it was the crazy couple of weeks. It's been a crazy couple.
I always say that about artists, right? I'm like, I've been following Beyonce's Renaissance tour because I'm clearly struggling to follow her in my physical body.
Not yet.
I've been following it on social media. Thank you so much. I've been following it on social media. And what really fascinates me, and one of my friends, my producer actually, Given, is a huge Beyonce fan. I don't know anyone that loves Beyonce more. And I'm always so shocked at how, and I always say this about artists, you stand on stage after a song has been written for you or you wrote it in a room, and you sing it and people give it back to you. And there can't be anything more humbling than having written something, or as a filmmaker, as an artist, singer, writing something and people giving it back to you and saying, thank you. Because that's the biggest form of thank you Beyonce will get. Is people buying the tickets and singing the songs back at her.
Yeah.
And the biggest thank you can get as a filmmaker is people watching your film.
No, because
they don't have to.
That's the thing. They don't have to. Especially in the world of Netflix where there's a million things to watch. You still chose to search and then watch, or you found it there in the top 10 and then you're like, let's try this. And it's we do live in that world where what Netflix gives you is 190 plus countries where people can watch your content and engage with it in however way they want. So it has been a very humbling experience. I never thought I'd have a film that is in the top 10. Never mind the first one, right? Never thought.
What story do you still want to tell?
Well, we have another film coming in August.
Already?
So Homewrecker was shot in 2021.
So leading up to it coming out, you were already shooting something else?
No, so we shot it in 2021 and in 2022 we shot another thing. It just so happened that both films got ready at the same time, so we delivered them at the same time. And then Homewrecker got released first, and then this one is coming now.
So it's done, shot, everything?
Yeah, it's done, it's shot. It's just waiting to be released.
What can we expect? I hate that question so much. There's nothing I hate more than what can we expect, eh? Forget I said it, actually.
Yeah. I'm like, how do you answer that?
Please forget I said what can we expect. We'll see it when it comes out.
No, yeah. When it comes out, yeah. And then it's a genre we've played in before.
Okay.
It's comedy,
it's gonna
drama.
be funny.
Yeah, and it's 4 girls who are about to turn 30.
Oh, they're so lucky.
Right up our alley.
About to turn 30?
About to turn 30 and what happens when you turn 30 for them, So that was a fun...
That's such a fun story to tell, because I can tell you that when all my friends were about to turn 30, when all of us are about to turn 30, there was so many things, from relationships to family to feeling like I'm discovering myself. Oh no, I don't do that anymore because I'm 30 now. Darling.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, no. So there's that. And then we're back to writing. I want to do, I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, our next film will be an action. Shooting people and all that stuff. And I think it's important. So one of the reasons we insisted on telling Homewrecker and not Baby Mamas 2, or we didn't want Baby Mamas 2 to be the next film we released after the first Baby Mamas, was we wanted to challenge ourselves as storytellers to see what else we want. We didn't get into this to only tell one side or one part of a story, right? We wanted to go to check what else, because we don't know. We are still discovering ourselves and trying to find our voice as storytellers and as filmmakers ourselves. And the only way to fully discover and to get the answer is to tell whatever story gets dropped to you at the time it gets dropped and go, next one is this one, or, so it's important to listen to your instinct and lean into that.
What do you think young Steph would say?
She'd be like, girl. Miguel. No, I think young Steph used to be a thinker. So I think I have a picture I took when I was 10 at school, those school pictures.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I love reflecting on what 10-year-old me would say or would think. So that's Steph, yeah.
Yeah, so that Steph was young and was definitely not sure of herself. So she would look at this Steph and be like, yo, Mantsoe, you're doing the things. You're doing the things, man. And you're doing things even 10-year-old Steph probably was not imagining at that time. So I think she'd be like, you're on the right track, boo.
Gog Anna, what do you think she would say?
Oh, man. My grandmother, we used to call her Umai. We never called her Gogo. Nobody called her Gogo. We called her Umai. And when they say sometimes the life you're living is because of some of the prayers from your grandparents, I definitely think there's prayers that lady would have prayed when I was born, or before I was born, or after I was born, that are today still manifesting. I think it's a pity she's passed on. But I think out of all my family members, maybe there's 2 people who would not have been surprised. And it's her and my late uncle as well, Umalumat, who just knew. And I didn't know. And maybe other people didn't know, but my grandmother knew, because even in my shyness, she was the one person I would still debate with. And be like, no matter why. So it's why make sure why? I feel like right now, every day, why? No, but answer me. So I was that grandchild to her. I think very different to all her other grandkids who questioned things, who wanted answers, so I think she'd be like, yes, I knew.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So now I'm sure she's like, now the whole world knows that you
you spend a lot of time having tea with your mom. What would you like to say to her?
My mom, I always say, when my mom is concerned, that she had me when she was very young.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, Well, I think I wonder, but I think we've had the conversation where I think in her wildest dreams, she never, when she held me for the first time, she didn't think that this is the child she was getting because I'm so different from her in terms of, I'm very risk averse. Is it risk averse? Eh?
You just won't take the risk.
No, she's risk averse.
Oh, okay.
Me, I see the risk and I go, ooh, that looks dangerous. No, it looks dangerous. It is tested.
Oh my God.
And then I'll still jump. Where she just goes, danger, let's move. She looks at a different direction altogether. And I'm like, yeah, man, but it looks interesting. And she's just like, nope. I'm like, no, so we're very different in that. I will jump at, there's parts of me that's fearless. But to get and to do what we all do, there's a part of us where fear and danger, we just know how to switch it off, right? And I operate a lot there. And she operates a lot in the, my mom won't get on a flight. She hasn't been to Cape Town. And I'm like, I just want you to get on a flight. It's 2 hours.
It's just like, yeah,
I'm like, tell me. Thank you. Thank you. And she's like, no, I'm from the same. And so that's how different we are. I'll still be scared to take the flight, but I'm like, yeah, it's normal to be scared, is it not? And she's just like, I'm safe here, I'm good. So I think over the last few years, and maybe throughout my life, I've been the child that forces her to think outside of the box, or at least shows her that you can think outside of the box and you'll be fine. But I've tried. I think she just admires from a distance. Like, no, that's my daughter.
Meek woman gave birth to a wild one that's willing to run for the danger.
Yeah. There's other dangers that she'll run to. Yeah. It's just not the same ones I would run to. So I guess maybe we can look at it like that. But the ones that for me are very obvious, she's just like,
I've wanted to have a conversation with you for so long, and I'm so glad it happened. I think you're one of the most interesting and very deep persons that I've heard about, because I had never met you.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were speaking with Given, when we were talking about guests that we went on the podcast, then we kept bringing you up because I was like, I really want to talk to her. Because from a distance, I've just always felt like I love how you think. I love, even through your films, how I see that you think and what I think you think. And I've really wanted to have this conversation for so long. So thank you so much for allowing me to have you on a Sunday. Your poor wife, her husband and child.
I know, those ones will be fine.
Your baby turns 5. What would you like to say to him?
5?
6?
My child turns 2 in December.
Whose child turns 5? Your anniversary is 5. Your baby turns 2.
Yes, it's.
But I don't want to talk about the anniversary because your marriage is not my business.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's anyone's business.
True.
But I think as a parent, if...
No, my poor child. He tends to... Well, tantrums. There's this day when he was born, boys, pee on you. Like, do you know who I am?
I'm Stephina.
Where I'm coming, and it's been, I don't think I've ever smiled and laughed so hard in my life.
It's the best hood.
It is.
Motherhood.
No, it really is, guys. It really, really is. And I love my job, right? I'm just that girl. I really love my job. But having a baby also allows you to find other parts of yourself that you didn't perhaps know that you could unlock. So I'm having the time of my life as a mom. But I'm also that girl. There'd be my friends, some of my old friends, when Miss Kula Song would be like, oh, mama, that's somebody. And I'm like, even me, I'm shocked. Even me, I'm winging it. This child chose me. I feel sorry for him.
I know everyone, he chose me.
Yeah, and then sometimes I look at him, I'm like, oh no, yeah, I see you.
Perfect match.
Yeah, nobody else could have parented you. Shame. Because he's got an attitude. He's funny. He's hilarious.
Oh.
That child was born understanding comedy.
Oh.
And I don't know how. You'd be sitting, if you have your feet up and he come and then he sees them. Uzoza, and then he tickles you.
Oh, no.
Where? Who taught you that that's funny?
Yes, right?
It says, we don't tickle you. So who taught you that?
You guys tickle each other in front of him.
Maybe.
And he's like, there's that thing that mom and dad like doing.
Yeah, but yeah, he's such a beautiful, beautiful soul. It's just the tantrums have got to go, man. Sure.
Now, you don't know who my next guest is. And before you leave, I want you to leave a message for them.
Male or female? Well, that is such an interesting question.
What message do you have for my next guest?
Don't be afraid to commit to the phase, the age, the moment that you are in. Because we sometimes grow up and we are made to feel not enough, or we made to feel that you don't deserve that. And then sometimes when that starts happening, you feel guilty and you feel, I don't deserve this. Maybe I'm not good enough to be experiencing this. Commit. If however the heavens open up their blessings to you, enjoy it. Because my mom always used to say, today you are here, Evelyn. So while you are here, you can't be expected to live as though because you are now punishing yourself twice. Live in that moment. Live in the moment that's been presented to you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
This was fun.
It was. It really
Thank you so much. I'm going to give you my tea. You like
I am in love with this t-shirt.
Right?
Listen,
thank you so much for tuning in. This episode was so heartwarming. Thanksgiving. Shout out to the team here in the building.
Thanks to everybody.
Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much to my guest. Like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. And don't forget, there's a trip to be won. If you don't know what that's about, find the video on the channel.
Can I win?
Find the video on the channel. Bye-bye.